Giggs. No. Rhodri.
Is there anything that Lionel Messi is better than you at?
It's opinions. I respect your opinions. Maybe in your opinion Messi is better than me, but in my mind I'm better than him.
I do it again.
Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Told her if it's all me, everything is on me. Gon' back it up. Matter what? Told you I'ma do me. Why you hating on me? It's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck, country heart. I might cop a farm and go act up. Like scars, I was cold hearted, now I'm back up. Keep it real, I do this once a month. I don't rap much. I just hit the money and go stack up. Only buy cars and get tatted up. All that other bull, it don't matter much. You only climb me, I put the ladders up. No fault, I done doubled up on the workload. I think I fell in love with the bankroll. Pray up, get money, then we lay low. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up,
Hey guys, I'm Si. Welcome to A.C.E Podcast Nation, the home of Rhodri Giggs on football, the Sports Socials podcast of the week. This is episode number 26. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff as usual. Audio podcasts, of course, at the Sports Social Podcast Network. So if that's how you prefer to take your podcasts in, then check out all of our shows on there, including Rhodri Giggs on football. And, give it a like, shares, all that good stuff. Really helps us out, helps us move up the search engines, the algorithms, all of that stuff. But just as we wait for some of the latecomers and the stragglers to join us, little update from the Super Six. We're obviously supporting the Charity Super Six League, raising money for two great charities in Maggies Centres and Mind Mental Health Charity. It's been 2 rounds since the last week's update, shall I say. Will's dad topped the round with Saturday's round with 13 points, but Tuesday was a low-scoring round, and none of us even managed to beat Jeff Stelling. From our celebrity players, Lee Jarman smashed it out of the park and topped both rounds. But now my battle with Rhodri is gone, I hear you ask. How has it gone, should I say? Well, he started the week 3 points behind me and being all bullish about beating me. But today, as of today, my lead is back up to 9 points where it belongs. And I'm sure it'll just get even bigger as the pressure's got too much for Rhodri. He got all excited and, it's been painful for him. But joining me, he's just panicking now. He's trying to research his Super 6 results, trying to copy mine, but I haven't done them yet. He's got 9 points. No!
Was it 9 points?
Yeah, back up, mate.
Yeah,
doubled it.
I've done that in half a week. No problem.
Oh, he's just giving it away again, isn't he?
Half a week I did that in. No problem.
No problem, he says. Well, we'll see.
I tried to be too smart the week before.
I know.
I just try to be too smart. So, and last week was no good either. But
funny enough, was it this last Saturday where I said to you, you tried to be a bit too
that was
went against the grain. Yeah. You went I think you went
like Burnley winning against Chelsea. I was like,
yeah. Overthinking it. See, my mind.
See how I segued into Chelsea.
Yeah, well, mate, we've got lots to talk about with Chelsea. Professional. So there's a few little Chelsea tidbits which I'd like to talk about. We'll start with, obviously, we spoke about last week how Chelsea were up for sale. We all understood Abramovich's reasons, etc., etc. We don't need to kind of go over that ground. However, Roman Abramovich has been sanctioned by the UK government today, which means that the sale is on hold. So what does it mean exactly? Can Chelsea continue to play games? Yes, they can. Chelsea's assets would have been frozen completely, which would have meant the club would have basically had to stop operating, but they've been given a special license by the government to continue that. So they can play games. Men and women's teams will fulfill the fixtures for the rest of this season as normal. Chelsea away on the weekend is up, it's on and blah, blah, blah. But what does this mean for match-going fans? Season ticket holders can still attend games at Stamford Bridge as normal, while tickets sold before the 10th of March today will be honoured. But beyond that, supporters cannot buy any new tickets to watch Chelsea Football Club. Tickets were due to go on sale for the FA Cup quarter-final at Middlesbrough, which is on the 19th, but a post on the club's website says this will no longer happen. The club is unable to sell any merchandise. Club shop will be close today. They can play. So just checking now, sports. Yeah, so they can still pay the wages of the playing staff and stuff like that, because of this special license. But it's only up until May 31st, so things might change between now and then. We obviously don't know the ins and outs of it, which also means they're effectively cannot sell players, unable to negotiate new contracts for players either. So you've got Rudiger, I can never pronounce his name, Azpilicueta, Christensen, all out of contract. They can't negotiate with that. It is disastrous, mate, for Chelsea as a football club, isn't it?
Yeah.
It could have been worse, which is quite mad.
It could have been worse, but they're gonna
stay in business.
They make a rod for their own back then if they did that, because it'd be catastrophic.
Of course,
and the European champions going under.
Yeah,
it'd be more problems,
mate, as well.
It'd be more problems than it's worth. Yeah, so they've just hamstrung them. Really?
Yeah, I feel for them now, because last week I asked you, do you feel sorry for Chelsea fans? And you said no. They've had a good run, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, now the sale's been stopped and all this is in place. You do feel sorry for them?
You do feel sorry for the proper hard-going, really Chelsea, hard-going, match-going fans, Chelsea fans, all around the world, because Chelsea are a big club now around the world. So, yeah, it's difficult, but, you take the rough with the smooth. 20 years ago, they're in the dumps, and then someone's come in and bought them. And this is the end of it. Is it his doing? No, not really. But you're guilty by association these days. So
yeah, and I think, look, I saw a few people saying this. Obviously by stopping the sale, because he had said that there was a big chunk of the sale was going to go towards Ukrainian, to helping the people affected by the war in Ukraine. So they've kind of stopped that as well. But, all Russian businesses and businessmen in foreign countries are getting these sanctions. And I think that's why it was kind of hastily, first he handed over control of the club. Then a day later or 2 days later, he realized that wasn't going to be enough. So he's kind of trying to sell the club. And I think, obviously I don't know, but I'm imagining that the reason he put the club up for sale so quickly was
prevent this happening.
Yeah, that basically they would kind of be like, he's selling the club, so we'll let him sell it, and then kind of.
So if it was if it was as easy as selling his car, it'd be gone by now. But
yeah,
obviously it's not as easy as that. So yeah, they've obviously put a stop to it, and the Chelsea, the fans, all the fans suffer. So it's a difficult one. But most fans will say, yeah, but 25 years ago, he come and saved you, and you're still better than where you are, and he's going to leave you better than where you were. So you just got to, it's just like the transfer embargo. You've just got to bite the bullet, knuckle down. Hopefully, they have got a lot of players out on loan, good players that they can recall. The kid from Southampton, top of my head.
Yeah.
So they have got other players. They've got a majority of good academy players as well. So they're just gonna have to bite the bullet and go into them squads.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one. There's a few comments which I find quite interesting, because there's a few from different sides of it. Rob Boyle says, I bet the Chelsea fans feel class after they cheered Roman's name during the minute silence for the victims of the Ukrainian war. Yeah, and I think, doesn't help.
Yeah,
does
but
it?
they're obviously not thought that.
No, they're not
obviously
thinking of it from that
thought
point of view, are they?
that far ahead, have they? And because Chelsea's, but there's a lot of MPs that are Chelsea fans. So it's just they're doing it to all of them now. So
yeah,
I've got no sympathy for them, mate. No sympathy whatsoever. These people got billions. I don't care. They don't really.
Yeah. I got to be honest. It's the fans I feel sorry for.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
The players, maybe.
It's always the fans that suffer. It's always the fans that suffer.
100%. There was another question I thought was quite interesting. Straight away, GD Parry said, any good Chelsea kids that Cardiff can poach? Chelsea have got... This is the thing, right? People think Chelsea's academy is rubbish. It's not the academy that's rubbish. They've churned out a lot of quality footballers in the last 10 years. The problem is they never get an opportunity, or maybe until last couple of years, in the first team. So they end up going to play for other teams.
Well, that's only because Frank Lampard was obviously involved, and he brought most of them through. Mason Mount, Loftus-Cheek, James.
Who's the striker who went abroad with Mourinho?
Can't
remember his name.
Tammy Abraham.
Yeah.
There's another kid as well.
Do you know what all those players have got in common, mate, as well? Is they all went on loan and did well.
Yeah.
In the championship.
History tells you that, mate. Back in the day, David Beckham went on loan to Preston, I think it was, and he loved it, and it made him a better, stronger player. It does. You just gotta pick the right team or pick the right individual. It's not for everyone.
Yeah. And then the other side of it is like Reece says there. He says, I bet the Saudi owners regret buying Newcastle now because Chelsea would be up for sale for peanuts.
Well,
possibly.
Well, yes and no. To be fair, they probably are, yeah. Because the money, I was thinking of the money, but
a London club and
these people, but you can't foresee a war happening, can you?
No, of course you can't. And I think that we have to bear that in mind, and the reasons behind it. It's not like for sporting reasons.
No, I truly believe things happen for a reason, and Newcastle,
I hope to see Newcastle back at the top of the league.
Yeah, they've got a bit of luck that the fans obviously think they deserve, and they'll see where they end up with it because they've picked up now. So,
is this the price? So the reason I asked this question is Rob Boyle just said this. So he said, maybe I'm too harsh and cold-hearted, but balls to them. These clubs take a chance when they're owners with dodgy connections. And is this ultimately the price any football club pays, where you don't know who your football club's owners are associated with, and things can end up coming back to bite you? And I don't just mean with like this war now and the Russian connection. There's foreign owners from all over the world, all the way through football and the Premier League. And there's also, you can only have to Google like allegations against some of them for human rights violations and all these different things. Is this the kind of part of the gamble that these football clubs take because they want the money, and then they have to live with the association for the other side of it when and if those things come to light?
Yeah, like I say, you can't foresee a war.
Of course,
it's happening. It's in the last 3 years has been the most bizarrest 3 years of my lifetime.
Yeah.
Suddenly COVID's gone. It starts disappearing. So I'm pretty happy that I didn't have any jabs. And now this you just can't. When you're watching it, you're thinking, what is going on? What is he doing? But I'm thinking, what's the end come here? What's the end outcome here?
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking, what do they do when they take over? Because the Ukrainians don't. What's going to happen? They don't want to live in like the Russians do because they don't have free speech or any of that crap.
No,
or any of that good stuff, should I say? Not crap. So yeah, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Hospitals now, bombing hospitals.
No,
you see people from all over the world just going to Ukraine and learning and just going. It's just
Lend
mad.
hands on.
Yeah, but my thing is,
mate.
what's the end game here? When are the Americans going to chirp in? When everyone else going to chirp in? But then if that happens, what are they going to do?
Then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, as soon as the US or the UK become involved, like physically, China is going to get involved, and then you're looking at an all-out war, and then it's just you're almost waiting for one side to drop a nuclear bomb or something like that, and then you're looking at worldwide destruction. And look, I would like to think that hopefully, the best outcome you can think is that the Russians will take a back step and it'll kind of blow over in a few months. I don't necessarily think that's Putin's style. So I don't know. It's it's one of them, mate. I don't know really, but I just feel for all the people who are affected by it. And like you say, you're seeing people from all over the world, individuals and veterans and these types of people who are just going, traveling to the Ukraine off their own back to kind of help out and whatever. It's yeah. So
yeah, no, it's worrying. It's worrying.
It is, mate. It is really worrying. With the Chelsea thing, it's going to take time for Chelsea as a football club to adjust to this. I think I saw someone say they're 2-0 up, but what I mean by that is
I don't know if it's going to affect them on the pitch right away because they've got a strong squad.
It might in a month, mightn't it?
Yeah, no, not in a month. In 6 months, a year down the line. How long is this going to last for? You're going to go through the January, the summer transfer and not be able to bring players in and not strengthen players. Obviously, Rudiger, Aspilicueta, other players that are out of contract. What's going to happen to them? I think they've sorted Thiago Silva and they've sorted the other Christensen, so that's good. I think they've done that already.
Yeah,
but I don't think they'll suffer straight away, but it shouldn't anyway on the pitch because they're professionals and it doesn't affect them. So, but it will affect them down the line.
Yeah, it's bound to, isn't it? It's going to affect them first and foremost in terms of the contracts and stuff like that. I'm sure there's other players I saw who were out of contract, but one thing which really surprised me was, I think it was yesterday, but I saw it today, was pundits kind of pushing the idea that United should go for Thomas Tuchel. Because if you look at it from Thomas Tuchel's point of view, does he need the hassle, the stress? And he got quite emotional in one of his post-match interviews the other day because he was like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, I don't agree with the war, blah, 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 blah. But, Chelsea's my employer. The owner's doing this and that. And he was kind of, you could see that he was frustrated by it all. He just wanted to talk about the football.
Yeah,
is that an option?
I don't see him leaving Chelsea. Really, listening to him as well, he really loves Chelsea. He loves the job there. So,
but everyone's got a breaking point.
Sometimes you go through a little rocky road. You just got to buckle tight and just ride through it, and just it's not going to affect them at the minute. This is what he'll be saying to him in the training room. Yes, all this palaver's going on the outsiders, but this shouldn't affect us in the training room. We've got our players, we've got what we're doing. So it shouldn't affect us. If it does, then we're not being professional. So, like I say, it shouldn't affect them. Yes, he's going to have to deal with the questions and bat them away, and which he did pretty well. So, but yeah, it's just kind of like I say, tin hat time for him and just ride through it. Because like I say, they can't do anything. All they can do is sort the results out and make sure the results are right for Chelsea Football Club.
100%, mate. And I think from a managerial point of view for United, like if he was to somehow become available, he should probably be right up there at the top of their list, because I look at Ten Hag is a risk, but I think a risk worth taking. Pochettino, mate, and I know I've said this before, I wouldn't go near him, but people are still pushing that kind of agenda with it. If you look at certain channels and whatnot, to me, if he can't do anything with the likes of Neymar and Messi and all this type of players, I'm not entirely
All right,
sure what
having
he's
them
going to
players,
do with
though.
it.
I was watching it last night, and you could see Real Madrid. There was like a tidal wave, and he didn't take any of them off. He's got to be brave, and this is where a manager's got to be brave and say, okay. And yes, they're going to be upset. Well, what do you want to be upset? Upset for now, and then play in the next round, or stay on and be out and be upset. So, but he's got to take that responsibility. Can't leave all them free. You leave Mbappe on, you take Neymar and Messi off. They were just passengers, and you were two. As soon as you go 2-1 up, you have to do something. You could see it, and then once they've scored, then they've scored straight away. It's just killed them.
Yeah, I think
you could see it happening. Sorry, mate. You could see it happening. Watch the game.
But you do see that sometimes in games, like a momentum shift that just goes, doesn't it? And you just
even when you're playing, mate, you can feel it. It's horrible.
But then, do you know? And I know he's not where he was in previous years, but one of the best managers for halting that momentum, in my opinion, over probably the last, since I've been watching football, so say 30, 40 years, 35 years or whatever, is Jose Mourinho was the king at it, at stopping that momentum shift in a game, because he's got that reputation as being a bit of a destroyer and anti-football. But when that momentum change happens in a match, particularly in a big match, you need to alter your tactics. You need to alter the post personnel to stop it, because otherwise you get what you got last night, and before you know it, you go out with the Champions League.
Yeah, it's difficult. You're engrossed in it. You're concentrating. The game's going, and sometimes the ball doesn't even go out. It's just bop, and you're constant, just boom, boom, just constantly getting bombarded. And yeah, you could see it happening last night, but he had to do something, and he didn't.
So do you think, in your opinion then, do you think Pochettino...
I never wanted him, mate. Never wanted him. Why would you want someone who's never won a thing? Never won.
Do you think so? Like, obviously, Real Madrid are a good side. Let's not forget that. He didn't go out to like one of the minnows in the Champions League, but also with the squad he's got, like, do you think tactically he could have been better over those two legs to ensure that PSG went through?
Yeah.
So then, in my opinion, I think it's
be braver and put. Yeah. You can't have free passengers. Basically, free passengers. When you're up against it, you need 2 banks of 4 at least, and they didn't even have that. So, yeah, it's. I've never wanted him anyway. So, but that might have. Even though I'm saying all these things, I still don't think it was his fault. The teams on the team should see that out. And the experienced players there, Neymar,
they're
Messi,
not mugs, are they?
No. So
international footballers who've won.
What they do is they're always cheating. They're always they don't want to defend. They're just there
wasting
in
time and diving and all that sort of thing. Reece says that PSG is the most toxic job in football. Built a team of individuals. The manager's got no real control, as Leonardo is the sporting director, is in charge of everything. If you don't win every game, people say you aren't good enough. I don't think
that's the case. I think they want the Champions League, don't they?
Yeah. And I think ultimately, though, as a manager, it's your job to gel the players you've got in your side. And when you look at that team on paper, if you can't just get those players to just play football and win football matches. By the way, in the French league, which he didn't win last year, which, he should be winning that league at a canter with the squad he's got.
It's just not as easy as that. When you put a load of stars together, it's just not as easy as that. Look at, I think Michael Owen touched it the other night, when all them Galacticos went to Real Madrid, they didn't win all the time. And this you're talking Zidane, Ronaldo, Roberto Carlos, Raul, Beckham, and Herrera. It could go on and on. And, they didn't win. No. So United got stars all over, supposed stars all over the show. They can't play together. You have to have a good team. You have to have balance. Mix. If you haven't got balance, then forget it. That's why the Manchester United of old teams were so good. Balance. They always had balance. Two centre forwards are not playing. Okay, bring the other 2 on. They had right wingers for David Beckham, left wingers for Jesper Blomqvist, and I can't remember who was on the right. I think it was Jordi Cruyff.
Or Cruyff.
No, it was
they had many.
Chelsea had gone by then in '99. It was someone else. Nicky Butt if Scholes weren't, or Keane for Scholes. It was just Johnson for Berg, for May, or for Jaap Stam. It's always had a bit of balance. You can't have just like,
Superstar.
It seems to be loaded. Talking about United now, it seems to be loaded of like wingers.
Yeah.
Or
fashionable
left midfielders
striker,
or right midfielders, or they haven't got a proper centre midfielder. They've got basically all the same midfielders. Tominay, Matic, Fred, Pogba, yes, but he doesn't perform on a weekly basis. So, but you've got to have balance. You can't just throw these players together and expect it. Just not as easy as that. But in the position they were in, 2-0 up, just shut up shop. But instead, they're on the half yard. They're always trying to attack instead of thinking we don't need to attack. We just need to defend.
Soak up a bit of pressure for 5 minutes, kill the game a bit.
But it's not in their mentality to defend. They don't want to defend. This is why he's got to take them off and bring someone else on.
Yeah, that's when you bring on your defensive midfielders and your players who are there to defend.
Yeah, just flood midfield and stop the ball getting played all over the show, and your players getting run ragged. Instead, you've got three players out there who don't really want to defend. So basically, you're defending 7 against 10.
Well, those 3 contributed little to nothing, did they, in that second half? Like, they were just passengers. No. So sticking on the man,
keep Mbappe on because of his pace.
Yeah. I can see that.
Keep him on, but the other 2, no. Especially fucking Messi. What's he on? 2 or 3 goals all season?
Oh, mate, he's I don't know what's going on there. Like, he flies under the radar. It's mad. Sticking with the managerial thing for a minute, Lorna's got a question for you. Reese's mum as well. So let's go. She says, "You're saying Pochettino's got no experience and never won anything. However, Rooney's never won anything. And you suggested him as a manager on a recent."
But Wayne Rooney's won lots of things as a player. Lots and lots of things.
Everything, pretty much. Haven't he?
He's a winner.
Having the World Cup.
He's a winner.
And the Euros.
He's a winner. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's Pochettino won? What's he won?
I don't know, mate. I don't know what he did as a player. I don't think he did much as a player, did he?
Yeah. That's why
I say much. I don't think he won.
Pochettino for me has had his chance in the Champions League. You lose that final. Mourinho, do you think he loses the final at Porto? Do you think we see Mourinho? I don't think we do. But he won it. You have to win things. No.
Interesting.
Klopp eventually won things in Germany. Pochettino hasn't won one thing as a manager.
Yeah. Took Klopp some time,
he's been in the position to, and he failed. That's why. That's like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He was a bad habit in semi-finals, finals, and he was getting beat.
But then Klopp did that for quite a few years in Germany. He'd get to finals, he'd finish second in the league, and he did. It took him time to break that duck. Yeah, eventually. But
that's so much. That's so hard. The Bayern Munich team.
Yeah,
it's always 100%. Been a great team. Always.
Rob Boyle's got a question for you, mate.
It was like a 2 or 3 year period that Dortmund were a really, really good side. I remember going to a Dortmund game in what year was this now? Probably 97. And when we got beat, and they went on to win it, and that's the year we should have won it. Who was playing for him? The manager, Scottish manager.
What's his face?
Paul Lambert. He played for him. Yeah.
He was a tidy player, mine, in his day.
Yeah.
Dortmund 97.
I couldn't name any of the teams here, but
I was just having a look. So they had Stefan Freund in defence.
Stefan Freund,
Matthias Sammer, Julio Cesar.
Matthias Sammer,
Lars Ricken in midfield.
So they'd have a decent side, but
they didn't have I just looking. They didn't have like a big name like striker. Paul Lambert. You had like Jürgen Kuller, or they had Andreas Muller. Just looking, they didn't have
Andreas Muller was the one that scored. Andreas Muller was the one that scored the winner against England in the Euros. or the
Oh,
Euros at
Paulo
Wembley.
Sousa, I suppose, is quite a big
Paulo
name.
Sousa.
And
Yeah,
forward,
so
going
we had a
forward.
half decent side, but we still they beat us at Old Trafford. So.
But you know what you said about balance, mate, right? I'm just looking at that squad. The balance of it is probably phenomenal. But there's a couple of bigger names, or maybe even at the time they weren't big names, but they went on to big names. But it looks like quite a complete squad of players who were very good footballers, like Paul Lambert, Lars Ricken, Paulo Sousa. You got Jovan Kariski, and then you got all the other names I mentioned, like Sammer and Muller. So, Karl-Heinz Riedler, there you are. He's like the big striker. But I mean, at that time, I would have thought
he was getting on then.
He was getting on 30, I would have thought at that point. But what I was saying is that it kind of ties into the point you were just making about not just having a team of superstars. It's about having the right players overall and the balance. Rob Boyle asked you a question, right, which I'm kind of interested in, because I know what I think about this, but I think from memory, me and you have all different opinions on it, so I'm going to ask it, and then we'll kind of discuss. Rob says, is Frank Lampard overrated as a manager? He was sacked from Chelsea, struggling with an albeit low confidence Everton team. And obviously on top of that, you had the Derby job. Did he only do well with Derby because of the players he was able to bring in on loan? Where do you stand on Frank Lampard, mate?
Be okay.
Do you think Everton? I think Everton are going to go down.
He's very, 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 very lucky to get the Everton job.
See, I don't think he should have taken the Everton job. To me, I think he should have waited.
Well, I've stated this before when I think we spoke on Shoot the Defence. Their fixtures are bad,
horrendous, mate.
Bad.
Can you imagine, right? When Everton had that, the owners come in a couple of years ago, and everyone was talking about the amount of money they'd have to spend, and then they brought in Benitez. Could you imagine that now, 18 months later, they'd be looking at relegation?
No, they've spent some money. Their next fixtures, right? If they do not get anything from the next 2 games, so Tottenham they've played, Wolves is next, Newcastle, West Ham, Manchester United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Leicester, Arsenal, Brentford, and Leicester again. And then they've got 3 games to be announced, which they're probably the only 3 that I see them winning or have got a chance of winning is Crystal Palace, which is no gimme because they're doing well. And then they've got Burnley and Watford. So out of them games, I can see them getting 1, 2, maybe 3 wins. Brentford, Burnley, and Watford. And but the others are all, they've got to play Leicester twice. They've got to play United, Liverpool, they've got United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Leicester in 4 games. And then they've got 3 games left of the season. Brentford, Arsenal, Leicester. Now, no.
It's going to be. I think Everton are going to go down, mate. I don't want them to go down necessarily, but I think the rot has set in terms of confidence.
No, what he's just said there, what just popped up out of the history of the football game, how many players? Most players that are top managers have never been a top player. Very, very, very rarely you have top players become top managers.
Trying to think, like Fergie wasn't like I don't think he was
an average centre forward.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
What about back further?
Tell me a top class. Tell me a top class player who was a top class manager.
I mean, Dalglish won a league title, didn't he? And obviously did well as a player. Or did he win it as a player manager though? So I don't know if you'd count.
I think he did win it as a player manager. Did lose it. Klopp
I can't remember. Klopp was not a top player.
None of them are, mate.
Mourinho.
Very, very rarely you get
Zidane, mate. I'd probably would one that springs to mind.
Zidane comes to mind.
But like when you think how many managers are out there, that's quite a big.
Yeah, it's very, very rare. And Wenger wasn't a great player. I don't think Mourinho played at all, did he?
Mourinho was like a goalkeeper, wasn't he, for a while? I think. But I don't think he never did it. It's
that's
interesting. People not having your
then
Rooney
again, Steven
choice
Gerrard
before.
Steven Gerrard looks decent. So, but it's very, very rare you get a top player becomes a top manager.
It's tricky, innit? And I do think Frank Lampard goes under the radar from a media point of view because he's English. Like, if you look at the treatment Solskjaer got compared to him,
he speaks well, but he speaks well. I've always liked Frank Lampard. I remember having an argument with our kid years ago when he played at West Ham, and my argument was he's going to be a top player, and his argument was no, he's not. So we know who won that one.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's not going to be. He's fat. All right.
Mm-hmm.
No at all. But yeah, it's difficult, mate. He's got a difficult job. He's got a very difficult job. FC.
What else we got? I'm trying. There's loads of suggestions for like. There you are, Roberto Mancini, great player, great manager. I think that's probably a decent shout.
I know there's not. I know there
there's
is some out there. We've said that there's some out there, but it's most of the top managers. They're all, like Ferguson. Who else have we mentioned? We've mentioned
like
a load
the serial winners. Even like when you go back as with those Liverpool managers like Paisley and what's the other one? The other really famous one. I can't remember his name. Liverpool fans will kill me. Oh, for God's sake. What's the Liverpool manager who won everything back in the day?
What did you say his name was? Paisley and who?
You had Paisley, and then there was another one who followed on from him, or might be the other way around. Oh, someone will tell me now in a chat.
Can't think. He's the biggest one as well, wasn't he?
I know, and it's someone Shankly. That's the one.
Shankly, yeah, that's it. Shankly, Bill Shankly.
Sorry, Liverpool fans, but I don't think they were, phenomenal footballers. There's loads of people just saying Shankly. I appreciate
George Graham. He wasn't a top. Yeah. He was all right. He wasn't a top great player, was he? They're all like, they just don't know why. It's probably because they've got to do the groundwork, haven't they? And these top managers, they don't want to do it. They want to go straight in the top. So, and most of them don't want to do it. But you have to. Mm-hmm. It's like you're starting all over again. Just because you've been in the game doesn't mean you actually know it.
You're entitled
as a manager. It's totally different. So,
like people are not having your Rooney suggestion. Although there was a couple of people who I know agree with you. I think it's a gamble, which I think United are not in a position where they should be gambling now.
I'm saying
they failed so many times.
I would take him rather than Pochettino.
Yeah, I can understand that.
But no, Wayne Rooney's a future probably Manchester United.
I think we need to clarify something. So a few people said, but didn't you just say that a great player, someone who wins things as a player, you would take over Pochettino, but it doesn't necessarily translate to. For instance, like you got Mark Hughes, Solskjaer, Steve Bruce. The list is endless of players who won everything and then don't translate to management.
But what I see out of my eyes, what I listen to, what he says, his demeanour, the way his players play, that's what I see. That's the same thing I see with Steven Gerrard when he talks and when I listen to him. He knows the game, and he knows what he wants. He knows what he wants of the players, and he knows where he wants to go. It's the same drive with Wayne Rooney. That's what I see. That's why I say that with these. Only them two. Only two players that I see that with. No one else. I don't see that Frank Lampard.
Do you know what I think? I also think
anyone else coming up, but I see it with Wayne Rooney. I see it with, maybe it's a Scouse thing. I don't know.
I think with Rooney and Gerrard particularly, and there's probably a few others out there, like because they've retired fairly recently, is part of it. So the young players, the footballers who are still playing, they can relate to them a bit, and the managers can relate to the players because they're not long out of the game. But I also think Rooney and Gerrard are widely, massively respected in football by everybody. Like whether it's the media from the outside, people from who just watch football, or players and people who are involved in football. I think there's a massive amount of respect there from people of all ages, and I think that helps when it comes to things. I think Rooney is too much of a gamble for United. However, I can see why you and other United fans would take him and try and start again, basically.
Right. You need to understand this. If it was a choice between him and Pochettino, I would take Rooney. I don't want Wayne Rooney to be the next Manchester United manager.
There we go.
Can we have this clear? It's a choice. If it was Pochettino or Wayne Rooney, I would choose Wayne Rooney. I don't want Wayne Rooney to be Manchester United next manager. That's for later on down the years.
Good.
If it was a choice between Pochettino and Rooney, I would choose Rooney.
Well, I think that's right. There, we got a clarification. We can move on. It's good conversation.
Both fighters as well demand best from everyone, even when he was on the pitch. The work rate. Gerrard lifted teams through. I'm sure he could do that as a manager, and we've seen that. Look at what he did with Rangers. I
still think Roy Keane could make an excellent football manager, but I just think
Roy Keane's
no one's going to take a gamble on him.
Roy Keane. Problem with Roy Keane is everyone thinks just Roy Keane's this big bad. Yes, he is, but he's kind of a nice, funny guy as well. If you're in his circle, which you would be if you're training on. Yes, if you get on the wrong side of him or you do, he's gonna fucking. But you're a man, grow some balls, and just you're gonna get flack. But he's not this big bad character that everyone makes him out to be. He just comes across that way. I think he enjoys it well. So
it's I just think that particularly in the Championship at the moment, I think some clubs should have looked at him. But such as
Steven Gerrard and Wayne Rooney don't have that kind of demeanour where
they're not as scary.
Some players are going to be
from the outside.
Wayne Rooney with Roy Keane, they're going to be scared.
Yeah,
what are you scared of? It's just so that just has probably that aura, and they've watched him on the TV, and he's brutal, and you're going to be that to me, and it just makes people uptight, and then they won't be able to perform. So that's an art as well, getting the players to be able to relax and perform, which I'm sure he could do, but it's the player. The team that he goes to embrace it all and not be so scared.
Yeah. Absolutely. Craig in the chat sent a question in earlier about it was something to do with the owners and the proper fit test. I can't access it because there's been too many comments. Can you resend it, Craig? Because I want to go back to it at the end of the show. Also, people were asking about the Manchester derby and also the reaction after it from the pundits and stuff like that. So first and foremost, very quickly, as a United fan, what was your opinion of Manchester United first half, second half, game overall?
First half was I'd say okay. They played okay, but the defending was a shambles. They've got 3 people defending a guy who crossed the ball in. You've got to stop the cross, and then once the cross comes in, you just got to be better. Defending, not great. Maguire, McTominay, Fred, Lindelof. You could stop that goal 5 different ways. Same with the second. You could stop it 5 different ways. It's just bad defending. Bad defending. But they got themselves back into it. And then the second half, it was just embarrassing. It was embarrassing.
Was it as bad as the likes of
This is embarrassing. It's the worst I've ever seen a Manchester United side in my lifetime. That half was embarrassing. They were dropping off. Get stuck into him. You're dropping off. That means you're scared and you just want the match over.
Get off the pitch.
It was 2-1. It was 2-1. Then it went to 3-1. And then even the players that come on, you think, all right, 2 young United lads here. Here we go. And it was even worse. It was embarrassing.
So, in a couple of weeks, you got the South Wales derby, which I'm doing a special for, by the way, in the studio. I should be recording that next week. But by the by, that South Wales derby, if Cardiff performed like like United did in that second half, they would get absolutely crucified as they come off that pitch, because it was as bad as you say. It was disgusting. And when you consider some of those players are like local lads, like the likes of Rashford and that, they know what it means. And even if you're not aware of the significance of the fixture, United are supposed to be fighting, to get back to where they were. Was the reaction from I forget who it was Roy Keane, Micah Richards, and someone else afterwards, was that over the top or was that fair?
How was it over the top?
No, I'm asking.
You've got the whole ground going, hey, hey, for about 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just boot someone. Yeah. Don't have that shit. Go over and boot him. They don't take the piss.
Yeah.
But none of them, they're just, no, you carry on. We'll step off. Hey, hey. It was embarrassing.
So, is that the manager's fault or is it the player's fault?
No, it's not the manager's fault.
We talked about
Van
Pochettino should have changed.
Moyes' fault, Van Gaal's fault, Mourinho's fault.
Yeah,
now it's Solskjaer's fault. Now it's his fault. No, it's the players. It's the same players. It's the same Lindelof making mistakes in big games. It's Fred sitting there, as Roy Keane said, like he's waiting for a bus. Maguire, £80 million player, and he's let the ball come through his legs to come into the guy so he can shoot. Kick it out for a corner, you fucking mong. It's simple. Instead, he let it go for his legs. He's £80 million. It's embarrassing. I could go on with it. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
It's all right.
Why on earth would you let the ball go through your legs? Why on earth would you do that? I don't know what you're doing. What? And one of the mates went, he might have been too slow. If he's too slow, he shouldn't be on the pitch. If he can open his legs, he can kick it out.
Yeah.
It's just embarrassing.
But, so at the start of the show, we said...
Crap. What? I could tear every single one of them apart.
Did anyone come out with any credit?
At the end, where the Dave Jones says, well, what do you want him to do? Tackle him! Don't look at him. Tackle him. He's just letting him run past him. What do you want him to do, Roy? Tackle him. It's like, oh, my God. It's embarrassing. And then you've got, the next day, I think Rashford, I might move and I'm not getting enough game time. Fuck off then. Go.
I thought that Rashford leak, if you want to call it a leak, the next day, and by the way, it came from Fabrizio Romano, who's got quite close ties with some of the agents involved within United, so it's probably true to some degree. The fact that came out after that performance, that Rashford was considering leaving because he's not getting game time. He's not getting game time because he's been garbage this season. He's been dropped because he's been rubbish. And for that to come out after that performance, to me, just said everything that's wrong with United. Absolutely everything that's wrong with it.
You've got leaks, like people telling Rio Ferdinand to go easy on the clients when you criticise them after the game.
Yeah.
Do me a favour. You've got Gary Neville. Knows who the leaks are. It's just an absolute shambles. And that comes from the top. It's an absolute shambles. You've got Darren Fletcher sat on the bench. The manager, why is Darren Fletcher sat on the bench? I don't know. All right. So he doesn't know why he's sat on the bench. So he's just a mole or just a Joey just sitting there. So what is he doing there? Suppose he's footballing director or technical director. What is he doing? Not doing anything. He just sat there being a Joey.
Christian Bolan there says, play for some pride. Salford's players, Sunday players, would give more. And I think
there's no contest. If that was happening on a Sunday pitch in Salford and the opposition team or fans would go, hey, it'd last 2 seconds. You get someone 2-footed around the jaw and it'd be kicking off. It wouldn't happen. So it's just, obviously you don't want your players to do that, but you want them to kick them to stop that happening.
Yeah, you don't let people take the
piss out of you. Stop it happening. But no, they just dropped off. Hey, and then just breeds them confidence, and they're just like a jolly up. And and when you give a team like that confidence, forget about it. They just pop it round you all day long.
So, whilst I understand what you were saying about, like, was it Van Gaal's fault, Mourinho's fault. You list all the managers. What I was asking you is, when Ralph Rangnick saw the performance that they were giving 20 minutes into the second half, should he have changed something? Now, we criticise Pochettino for not
Changed it.
trying to change the wave of momentum.
He changed it. He took Pogba and he took Pogba and Elanga off.
Who did he bring on? I can't remember.
Rashford and Lingard, and they didn't.
So
and
two players who should know and work.
Yeah, so it went worse. So we've seen it all season, mate. All season, 45 minutes. Whether it's the first half or the second half, they're brilliant. Then the other half, they're shite. It's just not acceptable, and it's just prima donnas that don't want to work hard, don't want to be told what to do, think they're better than they are, and they don't want to be criticised or talked badly.
Is that true? What you said about Rio Ferdinand, that he was asked by the agents to not go too hard on the players?
Yeah, I read it today. Or was it yesterday?
That is unbelievable, mate. I gotta say, that is unreal.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. So it's just
you don't want to be slated. Put some effort
and then you've got ex-players, and obviously they'll be critical. So it just adds all to the mix.
And
it'll always be front headlines or top headlines because it's Manchester United. It'll always be. This is why these leaks keep coming out or these stories keep coming out. If true or not, it'll always be top of the story list. So it's just it just needs to be stopped from the top. It needs to sort a manager out. He comes in with authority, gets the information that he needs to get these jokers out of the club who don't want to work, who don't want to be brave and do the right thing, and just be cheating.
So about an hour ago, it was announced that the UEFA are investigating the PSG president Nasser Al Khelaifi and sporting director Leonardo after their behaviour towards officials after yesterday's Champions League game. So apparently they approached the referee. The referee has written in his report that they blocked the door of the referee's dressing room, and they're looking into general principles of conduct and incorrect behaviour of players and officials. So, what do you think? So, basically, it seems as if they felt there was a foul on the keeper in the build-up to one of the goals, I think, but
it wasn't a foul.
The
first goal.
I think so. Yeah,
wasn't a foul.
It was the first one.
Yeah, wasn't a foul. Well, this is what happens when you get everything you want, and you don't get something you expect. You can't handle it, so you throw your toys at the pram and act like you wouldn't normally act, and that's what I think.
It's it could go good. So it could go even worse for PSG if they get charged with anything. Let's talk a bit of Championship football before we get into the questions. I enjoy the Championship more than any other football, I got to say, because I just find it a bit more pure and enjoyable. I'm definitely gonna clip your little discussion on Man United because that was quality. But I appreciate it as well, mate, because at the end of the day, apart from anything else, we're doing a podcast and we're talking about football and blah, blah, blah. You're a United fan. You've grown up as a United fan. You used to go home and away and to see that sort of thing in a Manchester derby is obscene. And just lastly on it, I'll say again, when I saw that Rashford thing the next day, the first thing I thought of was people like yourself. If I was you, I'd be fuming. Absolutely. I'd just be like, oh, try then.
I just tweeted simple, if true, embarrassing. Bye. That's it.
And that's it. And it's embarrassing. That you'd even think it.
All around like a baby. Absolute like a baby. When you burst on the scene, you was running everywhere. And now you was Anthony Elanga. Now you're Cristiano Ronaldo without the goals and out the assists.
It's simple as that, I guess. Derby, mate, made a little recovery. The championship relegation zone has somehow got even closer since last week. So you got Peterborough 22 and Barnsley 24, Derby 24, Reading 29. But all those three teams have got a game in hand over Derby. So that's going to have some sort of say in where it kind of goes. But Derby needed a win badly, and they pulled something out of the bag with a good, nice 2-0 win versus Barnsley. It was a massive game, that was. So that was a really good performance. And my friend, who's a journalist up there, told me that Ravel Morrison was phenomenal all night, really stepped up. And not just his goals, but his overall attitude and performance, particularly when you've got, a few young players in there as well. He's not young anymore, is he? What is he, 27 or something? 29. So, I mean...
Yeah, he's the same age as Pogba and Lingard. So,
but he stepped up, mate. And Tom Lawrence as well, apparently, was very good. But Rooney's, I think, his back was against the wall with this job, let's say. And I think that Barnsley game was a big, big game for them.
Stoke must have scored late on, mustn't they?
Stoke?
The 95th minute, Stoke scored. 95th minute.
And Reece says there, did you see I think it was the second goal that Derby scored. It might have been the first. The passing, and the movement was just something else. It was phenomenal. Sometimes I wish I was able to put up little clips on here, but we get copyright strike and then I'd lose the channel. So don't want to do that. But
you can do pictures, no?
Yeah, I'll have to start getting some pictures and stuff and just do them next to each other quickly.
Yeah.
But they're phenomenal. I was told that Ravel Morrison was, and Tom Lawrence as well. They seem to be linking up particularly well with. They've got those two behind the striker.
This is why I say Wayne Rooney's done so well with his man management, because no one's been able to get the best out of Ravel Morrison. We're seeing getting the best out of someone who no one could get the best out of, even Sir Alex Ferguson. Yes, he was younger then, and he's probably a bit more wilder, but Tom Lawrence had some problems. They're getting, and every time I see Derby, they play really well. So
they were having a sticky spell, and it was starting to look like it was getting a bit ominous. But that Barnsley was the game
through that with that win against Barnsley, weren't they?
And I've got to say, mate, right? Reading's goal difference -26, Barnsley's goal difference -26, Peterborough's -45, but Derby's is -3. So realistically, if they do go on any sort of winning run, their goal difference is going to be in the positive. So if it does go to the goal difference for that third place, and they're in it with a shout, that's like an extra point. So it's going to be fascinating. I'm just going to have a look at Ravel Morrison's stats for Derby this year. Wanted to see how many, he's only scored a few goals, but I think the fact that he's got 30 games out of him, I think he's played 29 games.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, like Reece says, he had one great game. It's a bit much to say he's getting the best out of him, but he's been good all season.
Exactly.
It was just
all season.
He might not have been great all season.
No, I didn't say great. I say he's been consistent all season.
No, he was great last night, I said. Or Tuesday, whatever it was. But no one else has managed to get 30 games out of him in a season, I think. And at the end of the day, Derby is just a weird thing, isn't it? When you think of the points they've had taken off them.
They've got a tough one on the weekend. They've got Bournemouth away.
Yeah, there's no easy games in the Championship, I think.
Peterborough have got Stoke away. Reading have got Nottingham Forest away.
Forest have been in good form.
Barnsley have got Fulham at home.
Jesus.
So
Fulham, by the way,
all got tough games.
See that Fulham Swansea result? Let's talk about that.
Fulham are flying, aren't they?
Swansea at home lost 5-1 to Fulham.
You like saying that then, didn't you?
I did. I really
enjoyed saying that then, didn't you?
Mitrovic, very good again. But Swansea did have a player sent off just before half time. We'll give him that. and all the goals came after that. But so that's an interesting comment just before we move away from Derby. Craig says, if Derby are within 3 points of Reading will then start the legal action. So was it? Let me read that again. If Derby are within 3 points of Reading, they will start legal action as Reading had a 6-point deduction, Derby 9 for the same infringement, but both clubs make the offer and the league accept or reject. So the max was 12 points for that offence. I don't quite understand that. So someone will have to explain it a bit better than, not that Craig didn't, but just that I'm not quite sure what it means. But there is a few little legal things outstanding. And I do wonder what's going on with like those various legal cases. I think the thing with Derby is like they wouldn't be at the top of the league or whatever with their 21 points. But I think you got to accept that being on minus 21 or whatever at the start of the season is really very, very difficult to then go and have a good season. We've seen in the past when teams have had points deducted, they often just end up getting relegated with a bit of a whimper. But we'll see. Let's have a look at some of those other championship results. Because, I mean, even if you get a player sent off, so go back to Swansea and Fulham, mate. Swansea had a player sent off in 42 minutes. And then Fulham scored, I think it was on like the 47th minute. And then it was 5-1. But even if you have a player sent off just before half time, you shouldn't fold like that. I know Fulham are on fire, but still, it's a bit of a shambles, isn't it? Folding and losing 5-1. Absolutely shocking. Who else we got? Well, who else had a good week in the championship? Luton Town won again, mate. Beat Coventry 1-0. That's a very good result.
Good win, that. Very good win.
Where's Leslie? I think I saw him earlier. Sheffield United 4, Middlesbrough 1. That was a big result for the Blades because Middlesbrough have been in pretty good form. Could have done with that win to put them up there. I mean, the playoffs as well are so close. You got like Huddersfield up there with Bournemouth on 62, but then from Blackburn, who are on 58, pretty much down to 12th, Preston on 50 is quite mad. That like. Right. So what Craig was saying is if Derby was to go down and they're within 3 points of Reading, Derby had 9 points deducted for a certain offence. Reading had 6 deducted for the same offence. So then they will argue that Reading should have also had 9, which would then obviously make them level on points. I hope that it doesn't end up going to like a legal kind of struggle type thing. I want it to go, whoever gets relegated, I hope they get down. And it goes down to who's played the best football and whatnot. It'd be a shame if it ends up being...
you can't see it. Why do it? Why not do it now? Why doing it? Just sour grapes, isn't it?
Yeah, Will asked a good question about Mitrovic. Smashes it in the championship, but whenever he goes in the Premier League, he can't quite cut it.
Different levels, Will. Different levels, I'm afraid. Different levels. Different levels of centre-half. You won't come across a Thiago Silva or a Van Dijk. Very rare.
You get up against behemoths like Harry Maguire and
you get change out of them, which you've obviously seen. You will do. Goals. So, but out of the top class ones, it's difficult. Even Burnley, like me and Tarkowski, very good. And they're at the bottom of the league. Duffy, Dunk, Brighton, all strong. There are some good ones in the championship. Don't get me wrong, but it's different level. Will
Premier League is like week in, week out. You're playing against.
We've seen it. Jordan Rhodes, 40 odd goals, and he went to the Premiership. About 5, 10 or something. So yeah.
I think it's fair assessment.
We've seen it over the years. We've seen it. Yeah, it's just don't know why, because people just score goals for fun in that league, but then go to the Premier League, and it's difficult. There's only nearly Jamie Vardy and who else? And there's not many that have done it.
Yeah, it's not an easy jump.
Sure, there'd be some, but
there's a few,
not many.
There's also a few who've killed it in the lower leagues and the Championship and then haven't quite been able to cut it. Some players are just in between that sort of top level.
Yeah,
I like Mitrovic
look
a
at
lot.
Jad Bowen. He was scoring goals for fun.
But I
goes to West Ham and plays a
disagree with
kind of
that.
different role.
Yeah,
which is
say,
understandable and probably made him a better player.
But he hasn't scored as many. Yeah,
yeah. Maybe that's a bad. What's the word?
Correlation or whatever.
Yeah, it's a bad comparison.
But yeah, another good point. And I actually fancy these to Millwall up to 9th. They were on a 5-game winning streak. They ended that by drawing 0-0, but they're only 4 points off the playoffs in 9th place. There's always a team who will come from a bit lower down, who goes on a big, long winning run at the end of the season and gets in the playoffs or close. Forest have been in good form. Millwall in good form. Middlesbrough were in fairly decent form, but Leslie says that the Sheffield United was the worst performance of the season from. I quite fancy Millwall to get in the playoffs. Say again, mate. Sorry,
I didn't see that coming. Did you?
No, I didn't. I thought Middlesbrough might pinch something. Yeah, it's a weird one. Let's talk a bit about the mighty Bluebirds. They're in that weird thing about, they're safe pretty much, but they're not good. Probably not. They're too far from the playoffs. I thought to beat QPR was a phenomenal performance on Saturday. Isaac Davis scored again. Colwell pinched a goal. And I think you've got to give Steve Morrison credit for the way he's dealt with these players. Like Isaac Davis, we've talked about before. He pulled him off after whatever it was, after he came on as a sub. He recently criticised Ruben Colwell and said he's got to work harder. And that was after a good performance. I think it was in the Liverpool game. He's now, he's gone and scored another goal. He's playing well. Question for you, mate. I've seen a few people saying that Isaac Davis should be in the next Wales squad. I think it's madness to put him in there. And they should be building the under-21s back up because they've lost so many of the 21s to the first team. But where would you stand on it? If he keeps scoring goals, do you have him in the Wales squad? When Kiefer Moore's been pretty average this season, should we say?
You can have him on the bench, mate. You can have him in the squad. It's a 23-man squad. If he's scoring goals, you have him on the bench. Yeah, take him. The younger, the better, mate. Let's breed him in the younger. Why we're in the position we're in now? Because 3 years ago, we started playing the young players, and now we're reaping the rewards of the young players, of the experience and the quality they've got. So, yeah, get them in as quickly as possible. If they're good enough, play them.
Interesting. I'm just not quite sure about it.
He doesn't have to start, mate. He doesn't have to play. Maybe he doesn't have to play.
He's not better playing for the 21s.
Well, no, because then you can see him. But what if he is? You don't know if you don't stick him in. You're not going to see if he's good enough to play for the first team. If you train him with the 21s, you stick him in, train with the older fellas, see what he's like. And obviously, if he does well, then play him. If he doesn't, you probably put him on the bench and then bring him 15, 20 minutes.
But then look at Colwell. Like, he's been in the Wales squad and hasn't really. I don't think he's got on the pitch yet, or he, in the Euros didn't get on. And it's like, would he have benefited more from playing
under 21 sometimes?
But at international level, I think it's different, isn't it, to the 23s, like in the club level.
Probably someone has said that to David Healy when he's playing in the second division. He's scoring how many goals for Northern Ireland? Sometimes it just Robert Earnshaw. He's did well for Wales when he played.
Yeah, he was playing great. We were playing for Cardiff in Division 1.
Sometimes international, even the top players, Alan Shearer, he struggled at international. It just sometimes it works that way.
Yeah, no, it's not that I don't think he should be in there. I'm just not sure. But then I also look at the form of Kiefer Moore this year, the attitude of Kiefer Moore this year. And I mean, if anyone saw the show I done with Derek Brazil,
look at your options. He was
very critical of
what
Kiefer
have you got. What have you got from Kiefer Moore down? Is he the best one? Yeah, but he's only
Bale's not fit, is he? Ramsey's not fit, and this is the problem.
He seems like a centre forward. This kid, if he's scoring goals.
Oh yeah, Isaac Davis would be a direct replacement for Kiefer Moore. Like he would play that role.
So Kiefer Moore, who's the next down centre forward?
Yeah, I don't know, mate.
Who's got the most goals this year?
Oh, I would imagine Isaac Davis, but I will double check now.
It's a no-brainer then. You know, he's brimming with confidence. He's scoring goals. Stick him in.
Well, stick him in for the playoff against Austria.
Mate, he's going to have no. Yes, he's going to be nervous, but once he gets on the,
maybe he'll play with no fear.
Yeah, no fear. Just once he gets on the pitch, full Ninian. Is it Ninian Park now? Is it still Ninian Park?
Cardiff City Stadium, isn't it?
Cardiff City Stadium, still, packed house. Yeah, stick him in. These kids, once they get over the first bit of nerves, they have no fear. These young lads, stick them in.
Interesting. I'm interested by it. Quite like it. Leslie say he got that when we did predictions for Luton versus Borough the other week. Leslie had it nailed on.
Leslie, we've chatted about this before. The sun shines on a dog's ass every once in a while. That's what happened there.
He also said, and we're still doing the boot and the limp. Yeah, the boot and the limp is available on patreon.com/Ace Podcast Nation. Every Wednesday we're live. The tiers start from like £3 a month, which is basically the price of a pint per month. Bargain. So we're going to finish up with a couple of questions and then we're going to be done for the evening. Craig earlier on, mate, said, do you think, basically the gist of it, I think was, do you think, there's two sides to it. One, do you think the fit and proper purpose thing with regards to football owners needs to be improved? And two, do you think this thing with Abramovich now is a good opportunity for the government or the FA or whoever to revisit it and make sure that all owners, new and old, are kind of doing the right things for each football club? As far as like even if you look at the Glazers, they bought United with borrowed money. They didn't, there's all sorts of problems with how the Glazers have run United, but even as far back as when they bought them, is now a good time basically to re-look at those rules, maybe have a look at some of these owners and stuff and see what they can do as an organisation.
I'll reiterate what I said at the start of the show. Who foresees a war coming?
No, I get that, but I think, is it a good time to revisit the general?
I don't know
because the fit and proper purpose thing is bullshit.
I don't know the ins and outs and what they do. I'm pretty sure it's pretty thorough, it is.
Say that, mate, but there's been a few.
It took the time for Newcastle. It took him about a year, 2 years. So
I think it's got better, hasn't it, in the last 12 to 18
and
years?
It has to be, because there's a lot of scammers out there, a lot of Tinder swindlers out there.
Tinder swindlers. I haven't seen that yet. Have you watched it?
Yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's really good.
I might have to have a look at it.
Oh, there's a lot of inventing Annas out there. Oh, there's a lot of them out there.
Do you know what I did watch? Yesterday was the Afterlife with Ricky Gervais. So that was pretty good.
That was quite ages ago. I watched that.
I know. I never got around to watching it, and I was kind of waiting for my missus, and she was going, "Oh, I would." We were going to watch it together, and then I just said, "Right, are you watching this or not?" And she was like, "No, I'm doing. I just watched it."
Yeah, obviously your missus bullies them out at your house. You need to go.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. 100%. Do as I'm told.
Can you tell I live alone?
Yeah, I get to watch whatever the fuck I want when I want. Yeah. It's interesting. Right, guys and girls, if you've got any questions, then send them in.
Leslie's gone quiet, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, you'll soon be back, mate.
One result, one good flipping result.
I knew this was coming. As soon as you said that fit and proper purpose test was thorough, I knew that there was going to be some people asking questions because there's so many dodgy things with it. So Reese says fit and proper test thorough. Bury was sold to Steve Dale for £1, and the FA said we didn't even know, so couldn't test him.
Now,
Shambles.
now
Newcastle
football-
only took so long because it was the royal family.
Football League, and then I thought we were talking about Premier League, but
Well, I
Football
think-
League.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's done by the same people.
No, it's totally not, mate. You can buy a football club for like 500 grand, £1 million. So, well, probably not these days, but a few years ago you could. But yeah, you're talking billions now. I don't know where this billions of all these suddenly come from, but 5-10 years ago, United was worth 2 billion. Now Chelsea's worth 3 billion. Really?
Jesus.
But big place in the middle of Chelsea, that's worth a few quid alone. So, it's madness. But the Football League, anyone could do it. Anyone, I reckon. If you did it,
It's not good enough, though, is it?
No,
right.
No, especially because I've played at Bury at Gig Lane many times. That's where FC United played their own games. So scored goals, hat-tricks, many goals there. So, but it's and to see it now, I think they've just bought it back, and they'll be using it again next year. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that they've bought it back.
If that's the case, though, it won't be counted as the same club, though, will it? From a historical point of view,
it's AFC Bury, I think now. Yeah,
such a shame, that, isn't it?
But I think there's another one coming, Bury something. So I'm not too sure. I know there's an AFC Bury already started because they started. My mate plays for them, and they start at the bottom of the tier. The top of the league, they're flying. So,
good.
But
Claire, send your question again very quickly because I can't find it. There's loads of comments tonight. If you send it really quick, I'll put it to Rhodri. Right, Leslie wants a prediction for Millwall Borough, I think it is tomorrow on Saturday, and we'll do a prediction for Cardiff as well.
So I remember him.
Right, where is it? What are we? What day is it? Thursday. Come on, Simon, get to business. Right, so we're looking at Saturday, 12th of March. Cardiff versus Preston and Millwall home to Middlesbrough. So we'll go Middlesbrough versus Borough first, mate. I'm going to go with 2-1 to Millwall. Who you got? Leslie's gone 2-2 in his little competition.
Is this the championship?
Yeah, so you got Millwall versus Middlesbrough at home. Millwall are at home. I've gone 2-1 Millwall.
I go 2-1 Middlesbrough.
Oof. Leslie's gone 2-2. Guys, who do you think is going to win
Don't
out of
Leslie, go on, don't sit on it. Neck. 2-1.
Cardiff City at home to Preston? I'm going to go with 3-1 to Cardiff on that one.
2-0. Home win.
Good shout. Welcome back, Rob Lee. I hope everything's going all right, mate, in Australia. I haven't seen you for a while, but I know the time difference is a bit funky for you. Hope you're all doing well in the sunny Australia. Trying to find Claire's question to finish now. He is, yeah. He lives up there.
It's like morning there now.
Yeah, it's
like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Is it? I thought it was a bit later now, like breakfast time sort of thing. I don't know.
9 hours in it. 9 hours. What's that? 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Just waking up.
Early doors.
That's it, mate. Right, I'm trying to find Claire's question because she sent it in, but I cannot find it. So if anyone knows what it was, or if Claire can send it again. There we go. Rhodri, if our current manager leaves, would you like to see Thomas Tuchel at United? So if Thomas Tuchel was available, would you take him?
No.
Interesting. That is very interesting, that one.
Only because it's not going to happen. I don't like answering hypotheticals. Yeah, it's not going to happen. But listen to him. He really loves the job that he's doing. He loves Chelsea. 5 a.m. There you go.
Brutal.
He's looking. He's in Australia. He'll be fucking on the beach in a minute.
Yeah, he's to be throwing some shrimps on the barbie. They're all in lockdown, though, aren't they? In Australia, they like.
Yeah, you can have a walk on the beach, can't you?
I don't know. I think they're all like armed guards in some states, aren't they?
No. They're having the flipping No, it's not that bad, is it?
I think it is in some places, or it was. I don't know what it is now. Guys, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've really, really enjoyed tonight's show. It's been really interesting. I really appreciate all the interactions. Welcome to all the new people. Tonight's show was the most watched live show that the channel's ever done. So I appreciate that. In terms of figures, just at people watching live. So I appreciate you all. It's been a pleasure, my friend. Rhodri, I'll speak to you soon, buddy.
Yep. By this time next week, I'll be above you on the Super Six.
Yeah,
you've had your little play about now.
Mate, I reckon that 9 points will probably be turned to like 18 by next week. Double it again.
All right. Stay off the brains.
Leslie says, I like Rhodri. He's grown on me. Good show, Simon. There you go. Seal of approval from Leslie, mate. What more do you need?
He's gone from giving it out to going soft. Come on, Leslie. Come on. He's got, I beat you. I know. He's got, come on.
Yeah, I like him now.
Yeah.
Guys, do check out patreon.com/Ace Podcast Nation. Price for coffee. You get loads of extra shows and content. And it helps keep the channel running. Guys, a pleasure. See you soon. Take care. Nice one.